Hey everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Answer Is You podcast. Here we want to discuss every week little topics about improving relationships. This is mainly focused on creating internal shifts, internal awareness, because I'm a big believer that when we shift things internally, this will have a ripple effect on our reality and every single relationship in our life. So if we move internally toward more secure attachment, toward healing, we will create more conscious relationships in our life and create secure connections where we can thrive, where we can grow, where we can heal and feel safe. So for our first episode, I want to talk about when we have a partner or when we have a close friend or a family member that is avoidant, what does it reveal about ourselves? So for that, we want to look first at what does avoidant attachment mean? For that, we need to look at attachment styles. So we have secure attachment in relationships and we have insecure attachment in relationships. And this does not just go for partnerships, it goes for relationships in general. So if we have secure attachment, we remain in our center, even if there's conflict arising. That doesn't mean we're not triggered or we're not getting out of balance, but we remain in our center when it comes to, we do not attach meaning so much to it about ourselves when there's conflict arising. Meaning we would not have someone saying something that might be hurtful to us or that might feel like they're judging us, but it does not make us question ourselves that much. It makes not us feel like we have to question ourselves and our value because we value ourselves. So even if there's conflict arising or if other people make us feel that our value is questioned, we are secure attached and see more likely from a more objective perspective that this has something to do with them, but it has nothing to do with us. So in that regard, we keep our center even if there is uncomfortable or challenging situation arising where we know our value, we know where we stand because we are secure within ourselves. So even if internally or externally relationships are shifting or dynamics in relationships are shifting, we do not really question in there if we have to change the way we respond to it. While in insecure attachment, that person, if dynamics in relationships are shifting, or that person that is close to us or the partner we're in a relationship with, if they respond different and we are insecure, we make that about ourselves. We question, do they still love us? Do they still feel the same? Did I do something wrong? So if that is you, most likely there's parts within yourself where you do not trust yourself fully, or where there's still things about your self-worth that you have to work through. But in general, this is the two attachment styles. There is secure attachment and there is insecure attachment. And within insecure attachment, you have people that tend to be more anxious attached and you have people that tend to be more avoidant attached. And most of the time, both people carry both attachment styles within. It just means they tend more to, if they're avoidant, they tend to create more distance when there's conflict arising, while when you're more tending anxious attached, you want to create more closeness when there's any issue arising. But both have a combination because it just goes all to show that they're insecure. So even an avoidant, when they realize they created too much space, they will move back because then they get anxious that they might lose the other person. And this is what is happening next, which is very important to notice, that most of the time in relationship dynamics, if someone tends to be very anxious, they often attract someone or a partner in their life that is avoidant attached. And this is because, first, it seems to be very contradictory that someone who is anxious attracts someone who's avoidant. But at the core, they come together because they have the opportunity to heal one another. The avoidant has the opportunity to not create space, but to move closer, while the anxious has the opportunity to not cling, but to use the space that the avoidant creates when there's conflict arising to see, but they are still staying. They just need space. But most of the time, this is not what is happening. And this is why I want to talk about this. So if you have someone in your life or your partner is avoidant attached, what does that mean in general? So like I just said, an avoidant tries to create space when there's conflict arising. Or maybe they create space in general because they have a really hard time. That's the core wound of the avoidant, is closeness seems unsafe. So for the avoidant, they learned at some point in their life that closeness is hurtful, that when they allow themselves to open up fully, they will get hurt. So if there is conflict arising and they know they are already not safe, they will move away and create more distance. They will either create more distance physically by, how a lot of people would say, people in relationships are running. They might physically create space through running, through staying at their own house if you're still living in two houses when you just started dating, or it's a family member who would just not call for 2 weeks and then they come back and pretend nothing ever happened and there was no conflict. That's all very avoidant. It basically means if there is triggering experiences arising, if there is emotionally charged experiences arising, they are pulling back. They create a lot of distance to the other person because they do not feel safe if there's an emotional charged situation, because they do not feel safe in the closeness in the moment when something is shifting. So they pull away. While on the other hand, there's the anxious person, oftentimes there, who has the wound around abandonment. So for them, when their partner or a close friend creates space because they're triggered, that triggers them because they want to fix things right away. They want to be close to someone. They have a hard time when someone pulls back because they do not want to lose someone. And so we create this dynamic that goes back and forth where someone is pulling away and the other anxious person is running after them, and that goes back and forth. So they bounce off of each other's wounding. That's what they do. But so if you have an avoidant partner or someone close to you is avoidant, what does that reveal about yourself? So there might be, but this is what I'm saying, there might be people that are insecure attached, that tend avoidant, that tend anxious. But at the core, both of them are avoidant. Avoidant at the core because insecure attachment is avoiding intimacy. insecure attachment is a deep fear of allowing yourself to fully open up and to fully receive and give love, because it feels scary, because it does not feel safe. So the more anxious attached person might respond different to a trigger than the avoidant attached person, but at the end they both share the same traumatic response, that they do not want to let people close. They still carry a lot of avoidance on both ends within, that is just expressed in very different ways. And that is probably hard to understand, because how can an anxious person also be avoidant at the same time? But here it comes to avoiding intimacy. So how do you avoid? By pushing someone away. And if an avoidant and an anxious attached person comes together, that's what they do. If they do not bring awareness to why they do what they do, they do not see the bigger picture, that they're both avoidant. Because if you are secure, attached, and someone is pulling away, you're not chasing after them. You see that they just need space because they do not feel safe right now, and allow them the space to come back. And this is how the dynamic is broken right away, because then the avoidant just comes back and knows they had the time and the space to be by themselves without being blamed or anything. And so then they move toward healthier attachment as well, because they learn it is safe to take space and then come back. Same goes for the anxious attached person. If they would learn to just give space and see that the avoidant person, when they came back to their center, comes back, they get over their wounding and realize that person is coming back. I'm not getting abandoned here. I can stay too. And this is what we want to get to. But so what does an avoidant person tell you about yourself internally, where you are still avoiding parts of yourself? And this, of course, can be very different for every single person, but the core is always avoiding intimacy. And this can be very different for everyone, but a lot of people have hurt from past relationships and carry deep childhood wounding. So it's really up for us, if there is a trigger arising from someone being avoidant, to take a moment or take some time to sit with that. What does that have to do with me? Because if I am triggered by something someone else is doing, there's something happening internally, and that does not have to do with the other person. Because as we move toward healing and create more and more awareness to dynamics in our life, we realize that the moment we cannot remain neutral to something someone else is doing or to the way someone else is responding, it's because there is some wounding that we carry within that we need to look at. So the avoidant person is really revealing to ourselves where we are still avoiding, in partnership, in friendship, or maybe where we still avoid feeling something within that we carry for a long time. And that might be a deep hurt, that might be pain, that might have been a parent who was not showing up for us, who made us feel like we are alone. Or someone who was not showing up for us. So it's up for us to sit with that and to maybe just put the question out there when we meditate and when we sit with ourselves and asking ourselves, what is this connected to? Why do I still carry pain within? And where do I feel it? And why do I feel it so strongly when this person is pulling away? Why do I have a hard time keeping my center? That is important questions that we need to start asking ourselves to change something internally. And then we will see how things are unfolding. Coming back to the beginning, everything that we shift internally will shift in our outer reality too, and in all relationships within our life. So it's really up to us to see if something is triggering us when someone is, for example, avoidant, and as in this episode mentioned, that it gives us the opportunity to see what we still hold on to from past experiences, where we still need to heal or look at something closer that we still did not want to feel, that we still did not bring awareness to. So we can respond to someone being avoidant different. And of course, as we grow, we see how the relationship is shifting and unfolding. And we also see if that is still aligned. Because if we are growing and that other person is remaining where they're at and they keep pulling away, then that might not work for us in the future. But it also gives them the opportunity to see firsthand that person is working on themselves. They are working on themselves and they feel better. They feel more secure. Maybe I will do the same. It allows other people the space and the opportunity to question too if they still want to stay in their own cycles, or if they're willing and if they're ready to move on from it too. So everything, as always, starts with us and starts internally. So if we shift the way we respond to someone who is avoidant and allow them space and see that when they're ready, they're coming back, then something shifts within us internally, and we create more and more security in the way we are responding, and also create more compassion and kindness to what someone else's pain and past hurt, and see it for what it is, that it's not something someone else is doing to hurt us, but they are doing it because something internally is activated within them that makes them pull away. What was beautiful to me and that I want to share is there was this post that I was reading, and they talked about avoidance and how hard it is for people if you're in a relationship with someone or someone is close to you and they're pulling away, because it's hurtful, and it is hurtful if someone is pulling away. But what they were sharing is you need to stop making it about yourself if someone is avoidant, because they are not avoiding you. They are avoiding feeling what is showing up when they are facing you internally. They are avoiding what comes up as a feeling internally when they are with you. So you are actually giving them the opportunity to heal something internally, and they will when they're ready for it. And that is actually a really beautiful reframe, at least for me, to just give everyone a broader perspective and more compassion that everyone has their own pain and their own trauma that they're working through. So most of the time, it's everything that is happening because of us. But everything that happens within other people, it's happening because of their own internal system and values and experiences. So if someone is avoidant, it's not because of you, but it's because of something that is activated internally within them that keeps them stuck, that keeps them feeling pain from past experiences. So as always, the only thing you can do is working on your own internal world and shifting that. And if it is triggering to you that someone is avoidant, look at what is showing up for you internally. Allow yourself to sit with the discomfort of someone being avoidant. And of course, that is painful, but what does that have to do with you? Because if it's showing up for you, it's showing up for you for a reason. It's showing up for you because there is something here that can be shifted, that can be healed. And it's your opportunity for growth. And it's opportunity for the other person too, to grow and to heal if they so choose to. But at the end, it's always up to you to change your internal system and your internal feelings to how someone is reacting, so you can grow, so you can heal. And then they either align with that or they don't. But you will move forward in your evolution and create more aligned relationships that will keep you in your center, and you will use someone who is avoidant as your opportunity to look at what can still be shifted within so you can heal. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and I would love to hear how you like this episode. I can't wait to see you again. Please follow me on Instagram. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments and just see how you like it, or maybe also to get some inspiration of what you want me to talk about. So I can't wait to hear from you. Thank you so much.